Zero is a game based off fantasy and more. Enter an immersive world as one of three classes: swordfighter, arcane mage, and more. You may be wondering, man, this game looks complicated. How do I play? What do I do? Well, I'm here to help. In today's video, I'll be doing a beginner's guide for the best classes and more. To learn this, you do not need prior experience, and keep in mind that this is an absolute beginner's guide. So most likely, this will teach you the basics and inner workings in the game before you start anything. The game recently just rose to free release, which is why I wanted to make this video. Hopefully this video helps you feel better and more confident about your magical play in World Zero. In today's video, I'll be teaching you the basic tips and tricks from World Zero, from the best class, how to get started, and more. Let's get started. My name is Stuki Alex, and this is our Player's Guide series, where we show you, the player, into getting better scores and more in games. Let's get started. Yo, what's up, Hashtag Squad, and welcome back to another video. Before we get started in this video, make sure to subscribe for Roblox drama, news, tips and tricks, and more. Turn on the bell so that you never miss out on one of my videos, which are uploaded weekly to twice a week to even 3 times a week. In today's video, we will be going through all the basics from getting started in World Zero to attacks to some of the best classes. Let's get started with getting started. Firstly, classes. Classes in World Zero essentially act as a playstyle. When first starting out in the main menu, you are going to want to pick a class. Now you may be wondering which class to pick. It looks like there are 3 here that you can unlock immediately, which are swordfighter, arcane mage, and more. Let's look at the stats for each class. So swordfighter's beginner has slash, which is cooldown 0 seconds, crescent strike, cooldown 5 seconds, and leap slash, cooldown 8 seconds, and lastly dodge, which is cooldown is 4 seconds. Looking at the other classes, they all have other abilities they can as well. Let's take a look at Arcane Mage. Arcane Mage has the primary attack as Arcane Warps, which sends out little orbs, hence its name. Next, Arcane Mage has Arcane Blast, and that hurls a ball which explodes onto your enemies. Lastly, Dodge, which is a 6-second cooldown, and that doesn't really do that much damage. The special is Dodge. I believe the best class to choose in the game is either the Arcane Mage or the Defender, and here's why. The Swordfighter is also good too. Swordmaster also has very balanced attacks and can wield a sword, which is good in itself and has fast range damage. The slice ability in your sword, enemies can go away very easily. The slash is great for medium or close range damage, and its crescent strike can bring a lot of damage. All classes for beginners seem to have dodge as one of their moves, so in that regards, it doesn't really matter how much you pick. However, Arcane Mage can come in handy because the attacks are very ranged. What does ranged mean? Ranged means it has a very versatile range of attacks, meaning I can shoot enemies from any distance, which is a plus in itself. Arcane Mage's ability of Arcane Blast can instantly knock down enemies down if you are a beginner, which some argue makes it more useful than the Crescent Strike. These moves are comparable in damage, however, because they have similar values, etc., but I believe Arcane Mage is better in most regards. Lastly, let's talk about Defender. Defender has its perks of not being frail-like and standing your ground. If you believe you are a big buff player, choose this one, but be warned because it is quite heavy. After doing all this research about classes, more side either Swordfighter or Arcane Mage is back. Personally, I would choose Arcane Mage because of its ranged attacks. His range attacks can be very helpful when winning in games. A lot choose to despise Defender because its playing style can be very slow if not paid attention to, which unfortunately does not come as much a bonus in itself. Primary attack is slash, similar to Swordmaster but much more heavy. Using your axe, you essentially slash. Not anything special in itself, except it's a bit better than Swordmaster in the sense that it's heavier and does more damage. Next is Groundbreaker. Groundbreaker, which is almost a ground type move. Think Mario when you can pound enemies, similar thing. Moving on to the next move, this class is Spin. I feel like this was Feel the Battle type Barbarian class, where the Spin is great for horde damage especially. It definitely takes the best horde damage. So therefore, the best 2 classes to choose in World Zero depend on your playing style ultimately. If you are a lighter player, choose Swordfighter if you want medium distance attacks with a medium type range and ultimately a balanced playing experience. Choose Arcane Mage, which is my preferred, because its ability of range, similar damage, but range damage compared to it. And lastly, for the heavier type players who want heavier moves, choose Defender. Depending on these 2 playing styles, heavy or light, I don't know if I would want all balance or not, considering with this balanced playing style. Balance is not exactly this game's strong suit because of all the many classes. See there? Those are unlockable classes which you can use to unlock using classes and other things like bosses. To unlock other classes, you really need to look out for bosses. However, this comes as a state much later in game, so I don't really know if I should go into it further. Essentially, there are a ton of quests to cover in this game. So yeah, I guess. If you didn't watch that whole segment and skip to the end of the chapter, like, come on bro, I need them watch hours, you know. The best two classes to choose are Arcade Mage in my opinion, and Defender if you are a heavier player. These classes are the best to choose because they are very good with Mage's distance and rendering ability, as well as Defender's ability to act as a heavier class and take out hordes. Now that you found your perfect class, let's take some time to customize our avatar. If you see less options, it's because they want you to pay around $4 to customize your character first. This game has a ton of work put into it, so I definitely recommend supporting the developers after free release. It's been in progress for years now by the lovely team. If you'd like to support them, buying their game passes is the best way to do so. I'm going to address the other classes quickly so you know what they are. The upgrades of these classes are mage kind of like light, kind of like the spin-off. There's dual wielder, a better version of our friend swordfighter, and our one guardian. These are kind of like the spin-off classes. In terms of what I would choose once obtaining these classes, I would choose elementalist or guardian because it is similar to arcane in the sense. This again will be further addressed in an advanced guide video if it gets a lot popular. Okay, while I talked, you customized your avatar, chose your perfect class, and got yourself a cool OC, right? If you didn't, it's okay to pause the video. Let's move on to our basic attacks. Secondly, basic attacks. Let's start off with our first attack. This is our basic class in any strike. Mostly it consists of a strike that ranges damage, but is your generally primary attack. You'll want to be relying on this one the most because of its ability to recharge the fastest, only when it is appropriate due to your special attacks. Do not consistently rely on them because your attacks only have so much recharge time. By then the little enemies will come chasing after you with the boars. Secondly, pressing Q will unequip your weapon, which will make you go much faster. You can press shift to run in game, which most classes do have. Remember, running can get you out of a lot of dangerous situations. Always use Q and run if you want to be the fastest. Try not to equip your weapon all the time, especially if traveling to places. But it's kind of bummer when you don't get there fast enough and your homies do because you are held up carrying a weapon. Q and C are on all the best classes no matter what they are because they're both very basic fundamentals that the game relies on in order for the game's mechanics to be successful. Next, let's address C. C is the dodge key. If you're fighting and need to step back while taking damage, this is the key you use. Try to dodge your time key perfectly so that way when an enemy strikes sword, you aren't deaf with it. On average, this can reach from 1.5 seconds to 2 depending on which you choose. E works as a general medium range type attack. In Swordmaster, this can be a slash, and others, this is your general distance, like orb, something like that. Next, the R ability works as almost a special. This ability will almost instantly knock out players using its keys. This works as a charge ability in the Swordmaster where it will use a fire type attack, swing forward, and the rest. This is a great attack ability in all classes, which is why I'm trying to make this tutorial more general. Next, addressing pets. Pets are obtainable in many ways. To obtain a pet, you can go to the egg shop. Grinding a pet takes time and effort. A starter egg is around 2,000 coins to purchase. However, for this tutorial, I'm going to use an account simply to show you as an absolute beginner how you can get this. You can either put an egg in an incubator or you can take the egg with you. You can also have a game pass which costs around 750 Robux, which is approximately $7.05, which allows you to use an egg. You can feed a pet through food drops, which are dropped by enemies. Food drops are very easy to get and include yummy foods like donuts and more. Once you reach a certain threshold, you can hatch your egg after feeding it. I know, sounds weird. How can something eat an egg? Like, I don't know either, to be honest. After you hatch your lovely pet, you can give it a name. How do you level up an egg? You feed it your food. Pets work like Pokemon where you can actually evolve the pet after it reaches levels. Dungeon is the way you get classes. It's easier to go with the higher players to get carried. It is the best way to get loot. Dungeons work as a place where you can go defeat enemies and bosses, and then come out with some epic loot. This is also a great way to get pets and the rest, but remember, only go with high level players or you'll be screwed. There aren't any codes to be added right now to the game, but if you do, I'll update this video. I'll update a separate video with codes if this one gets popular enough. I don't believe the developers are code type people. They wanted to grind items more. I think this about wraps up our tutorial. Thanks for watching and I hope you enjoyed.